like that you share with us your approach to trumpets.
Sure.
And your secrets.
My secrets. Okay. Yeah. First secret is there are no secrets. The secret is to practice the proper stuff, the proper way, consistently. That's the secret. And I've witnessed lessons that people have come to for Arturo, and I know he knows that they're coming for high note secrets. There are none. And I think that causes, because we believe that a mouthpiece or an instrument is going to fix problems, we tend to spend a lot of money and a lot of time and wasted energy. Whereas if you pick up your Arbenz book, or if you pick up your Clark book and you practice it the right way, in the right manner, consistently every single day, and do the right exercises in the right manner with mindful thinking, you can overcome and circumvent all of the problems that trumpet players run into. I know that Arturo, he told me that when he was young, he struggled with range, believe it or not, because most people, and I was guilty of this, I thought, he picked up the horn and could just play like a god, because it was a natural gift. His desire to improve and his desire to have total command over the instrument is actually what drove that. When I moved out to study with him and work for him almost 3 years ago, I was of the same mindset that, there was a secret or there was something I was doing wrong. And through his guidance and his mentorship, he's shown me that just consistency and practicing in the right manner, going after the right aspects of playing, improves everything. So without even thinking about range, we never talk about range. We never practice range. We don't even think about high notes. Automatically, everything improved. And that's really the bottom line. Most guys are running and escaping from the books when they're sitting on the shelf and they're looking to mouthpieces and they're looking to horns and they're looking to videos from other guys thinking, I'm doing my embouchure wrong, or I've got to fix this, I got to put my loop over here. None of that. It all stems from proper practice, consistency.
And for you, what's a good trumpet routine?
For me, my routine, I usually do the Maggio. I start off with the arpeggiations, and I play down personally to double pedal C every day. After I've done that, I rest a bit, and then I go in and I do Clark 1 and Clark 2. But I don't do it just slurred. I do it single tongue, then I go into a jazz articulation, then I go into a reverse, what I call the reverse jazz articulation, and then I'll do, just to make sure, because a lot of times what you'll hear with guys is when they do their Clark 1, you'll hear inconsistency in their time. And so what's happening is they're getting hops and skips with their fingers, right? So if I'm going to do it slurred, I'm going to listen for consistency in the time. I want evenness between the notes so that there's not this ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, there's no hiccups or stuttering, if you will. Same thing goes for single tongue. Jazz tongue. And then reverse jazz. And that's pretty much the first, between the Maggio and those exercises, that's at least an hour of my first opening day. After I've done that, then I go into a few other exercises from the Clark, and then I'll do flexibilities, and I'll take a break. And that's easily 2.5, 3 hours, just warming up.
Okay. And I know that you can play the triple high C. Mm-hmm. And what's your approach to high range?
Proper, consistent practice out of the books, making sure that the lips are in good shape, that I'm using my air properly. I'm not trying to rely too much heavily on the gear, because every day trumpet is very inconsistent. Some days are stellar, triple C's, no problem. Other days, it's a struggle to get the double C. And it's this struggle that you've kind of got to get through. So you basically have to figure out, okay, how do I feel on a day that doesn't feel good at all? Because that's going to be 2/3 of your time. Then how do I feel when things are really just perfect? Because that's going to be 1/3 or less of your time. And so I look for, okay, today's hot, it's humid, I'm swollen, I'm going to need to take a little bit more time to practice and work in the low register, or focus on playing not so loud, but more soft, so that I have my aperture focused. And I always focus on sound. If I hear I know I've got problems. And so I know that I have to focus that down so that I lose that space or that air out gap between C and E. And so what did I do to have to fix that? Well, I had to maybe make the lips a little closer together, focus the airstream a bit more. And that's pretty much my approach to upper register. Because all the telltale signs of a good day or a bad day rest inside the staff and below. They really do. And in your sound. If you start on, say, just a G, how are you going to play a high C or above with that?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know? So I really focus on sound. That's something that Arturo really stresses. Sound, 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 sound. And if you can't play with good sound, we got nothing else to talk about.
Can you show us an exercise that people can try that at home?
Sure. On the Arbin's book, the lip flexibilities, I can't remember the exact page. Those have been key. Because what they did is they showed me how not to use my lips. I'm not going wee, 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 wee with my lips. I'm going wee, 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 wee with my tongue.
Yeah.
Your tongue is what is absolutely essential and vital. And once you establish that connection with the use of your air and your tongue and kind of get the lips out of it, lips create the sound. That's the connection to the horn. End of story. Everything else happens kind of inside your mouth. Once you develop that, you can start moving forward. So I would suggest starting in the staff and developing a good control and carry that upward. And then as you start getting higher, don't go for trying to blow up the room and be the loudest guy. Go for control. Go for intonation. You know, if you can't play a high C in tune, nobody's going to want to hear it, you know? So I will take a tuner and I'll do just a simple arpeggio. Do just a lip bend. So I'll take the high C and I'll just figure out what it feels like to manipulate and move that note around. I didn't do it with anything beyond my tongue. My airstream stayed consistent. My lips had no further pressure on the mouthpiece. That was it. It was all driven by tongue.
And the same thing above that.
Above that is exactly the same thing. In fact, if you change anything, nothing will come out. So if I do the same thing, it's all driven by tongue, strictly. And so the little bit of a, should we say, a sound shift, and that's something that I continually work on depending on how it feels. When I get my tongue more involved, I still get a little bit of a shift, and it always happens at G, and I hate that, but it does. And it's just an involvement of the tongue so that you can get more of the airstream to move faster, to be able to go above G, you know. A lot of guys have, should we say, a ceiling at G, and that's where a lot of problems reside, is because they don't use their tongue, or they don't think to manipulate their tongue further, if that makes sense. Because the tongue it's the floor of your mouth. The closer the floor is to the ceiling, the smaller the room, the faster the air.